My father is the Supreme Golden Divine Dragon. My mother is the Azure Moon Colossus Dragon. And I am a Divine Dragon Hatchling, a rarity seen perhaps once in 1,000 years. Yet every member of my own kin wishes to devour me. The reason is simple, I have a brother. The nature of true dragons is to raise only one offspring per clutch. If multiple dragon eggs are laid, the one deemed of inferior quality is eaten. The luminous dragon aura on my body is not as brilliant as my brother's, and so I became the one they chose to cast aside. Though my parents did not choose to eat me, they still threw me into the most dangerous of abysses, the underground city, to fend for myself. Plunging downward from the first level of the underground city, I saw countless monsters on every floor I passed. Level 10, level 20. I finally landed on the 60th underground level. It was a dense jungle here. Enormous leaves absorbed most of the impact, but I still hit the ground hard. My body was in tremendous pain. I dragged myself forward, but the injury to my hind leg made it nearly impossible to move. My leg was broken. My body had sustained damage in multiple places, and I was starving. Even if no predator found me, I would die of hunger here. Just then, a snake with a purple armored body crawled past before my eyes. Its scales patterned with many red stripes. It was roughly the size of a palm. I couldn't find any information about it in my inherited ancestral memories, so I had no idea whether it was safe to eat. But I had no other choice. I could only swallow it whole. It was the only way I could survive. The snake tasted foul, but I forced it down regardless. A warm current flowed into my body. It broke down the energy from the snake, and my right leg began to heal. My other external wounds were also recovering at a visible rate. I could walk and run again. I could now go and hunt other creatures to fill my belly. But the moment I took my first step, a searing pain shot through my right leg. So intense it nearly made me lose consciousness. Strange sounds kept flooding into my ears. I realized I had been poisoned. Barely holding myself together, I ran toward a nearby pool. I collapsed to the ground more than once along the way. But I thought of my father's cold, indifferent eyes. I thought of my mother, and the moment she cast me into the underground city. I thought of my brother's contemptuous expression. Those memories gave me the strength to stand up again and again and press on toward the pool. I knew there was hope. It was the spring of life. As long as I drank from the spring of life, the poison in my body would be purged, but I could not hold on long enough. When I finally reached the spring of life, I collapsed to the ground. My fingers just barely grazed the surface of the water. My eyes were filled with pure, bitter refusal. Damn it, just one more step. When I came to again, night had fallen. I was still alive. I could feel that the pain throughout my body had vanished. I tried to stand, and realized I had actually grown larger. I went to the spring of life to drink, but found the entire small pool had long since dried up. I had no choice but to explore aimlessly in the darkness, until after walking dozens of kilometers, I finally came across the tracks of other magical beasts. They were the prints of a herd of ground-hoofed deer. I followed their tracks forward. A herd this large would certainly have a fixed watering spot. Before long I found a small river, and the herd of ground-hoofed deer were there at the bank, drinking. The herd's leader surveyed the surroundings, alert to any threat that might be lurking. Among this herd of ground-hoofed deer, only the leader was a peak-tier magical beast. The rest had only just crossed the threshold into magical beast status. I moved through the undergrowth toward the river's edge, taking care not to disturb the herd. My plan was to hydrate first, then wait for the right moment to hunt one and fill my belly. When I reached the water's edge and bent to drink, I caught a reflection of my own body in the river. My original golden yellow skin had vanished entirely, replaced by a body now dark purple-black. Red stripes covered my right leg, and on my right arm was a faint pale blue rune. What had happened to me? But I had no time to dwell on it. The herd of ground-hoofed deer had already begun moving off in another direction. I gulped down several mouthfuls of river water and charged after the ground-hoofed deer. I targeted the one at the very rear of the herd. It was a doe, no antlers on her head. I clamped my jaws hard around her neck, but my body was too small. My teeth couldn't fully pierce through her hide, and she cried out. That cry drew the attention of every deer in the herd. The ground-hoofed deer leader's hooves blazed with white light, and a moment later a blade of wind shot toward me. I immediately released my bite on the ground-hoofed deer, and leapt clear of my position. The ground-hoofed deer I had bitten had red steam rising from her wound. Before long, she convulsed and collapsed to the ground. I had no idea how this had happened. This was no ability I knew I possessed. The ground-hoofed deer leader kept its eyes locked on me, fury blazing in its gaze, clearly intent on killing me. Its hooves kept flashing with white light, sending blade after blade of wind at me. Too fast to dodge everyone. One wind blade caught my arm. I was already weakened from hunger, and though the wound was not large, it refused to close, blood flowing out without stopping. Blood. I had to find a way to recover my strength before I could deal with it. I made up my mind at once and charged toward the fallen carcass, tearing off a large chunk of flesh, and swallowing it before I even had time to chew. My body recovered some energy. The wound on my arm began to close as well, but the sensation was completely different from how my wounds had healed before. This time there was a cool, icy feeling, as though the wound were being soaked in spring water. I had no time to study the changes in my body. The ground-hoofed deer leader launched another volley of wind blades at me. After dodging the blades, I charged straight at the ground-hoofed deer leader. The leader lowered its head, revealing its razor-sharp antlers, and came at me. The speed was such that I had no chance to react. I was launched into the air on its antlers, and slammed into a boulder, landing in a dazed, battered heap. The demon antlered deer leader charged swiftly toward me again. Those antlers made me feel the cold breath of death.
Just as it was about to strike me down.
A tremendous crack of thunder rang out nearby, followed immediately by a bolt of lightning that struck the entire herd of demon-antlered deer dead. A violent tremor ran through the ground, and I felt a powerful aura drawing closer to this spot. I looked toward the source of the sound and saw flashes of electric light igniting deep in the forest. A pair of enormous eyes suddenly appeared. I recognized the creature that had arrived. It was a fully grown Thunderidge dragon, a sub-dragon species, renowned for its overwhelming offensive power. A top-tier combatant even among sub-dragons. It was over. I was finished. I shut my eyes in despair. But after waiting a moment, the expected agony of being torn apart never came. I opened my eyes with some confusion. The enormous Thunderidge dragon had not attacked me. Instead, it sniffed at me intently. The electrical discharge organs along its spine had gone dormant. I could sense that it was somewhat puzzled. Though sub-dragons possess formidable combat power, their intelligence is not particularly high. Perhaps it had identified my aura as belonging to one of its own kind. It slowly retreated. At that moment, my stomach growled loudly. The Thunderidge dragon walked over to the fallen herd of ground-hoofed deer and placed the carcass of the ground-hoofed deer leader right in front of me. A faint voice drifted into my mind, coming from the Thunderidge dragon before me. Eat! Without a moment's hesitation, I opened my mouth wide and devoured the food before me in huge, ravenous mouthfuls. My wounds were healed. My strength slowly returned, and for the first time in all these days, I felt the sensation of being truly full. Before long, I had eaten an entire ground-hoofed deer, and I drifted into a drowsy, heavy sleep. I had not rested for a single moment these past few days. Now that I had eaten my fill, the exhaustion hit all at once. When I opened my eyes again, I was inside a mountain cave. Beneath me was a small nest made of dried grass. Beside me were two small Thunderidge dragons roughhousing with each other. They were only about one fist's breadth larger than me. The Thunderidge dragon that had brought me here was nowhere to be seen. I got to my feet. The two small Thunderidge dragons noticed me. They walked over to me, studying me with examining eyes, seemingly curious about where I had come from. The bolder of the two gave its body a shake, and the electrical discharge organs on its back crackled with a burst of electricity. Seeing this, the other one did the same, its back flashing with arcs of lightning. They looked at me, a flicker of expectation on their faces. It dawned on me, this must be their unique way of saying hello. But I was not a Thunderidge dragon. I had no ability to discharge electricity. I had no way to respond to them.
That sound...
A call from the Thunderidge dragon mother rang out from the cave entrance. At once, the two small Thunderidge dragons bounded cheerfully out. I wasn't quite sure what to do. One of the small Thunderidge dragons came back to my side and tugged at my claw with its mouth, seemingly wanting me to come out too. When we emerged from the cave, a large carcass of a tusk beast lay outside. The two small Thunderidge dragons went forward and began enjoying the fine meal. My stomach rumbled again, so I boldly stepped forward and started eating too. After eating their fill, the two small Thunderidge dragons went back to playing, while I turned my attention to the energy I could feel within my body. It was then that I noticed, along the edges of my wings, which had not yet fully grown, white patterns had begun to appear.